Good evening and welcome to our masterclass tonight. We have a very special guest, Titus Underwood. He is an oboist. He's principal oboe of the Nashville Symphony and a graduate of the Juilliard School and Cleveland Institute of Music. He's also the 2021 recipient of the Sphinx Medal of Excellence Award. Welcome, Titus. Thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to hear the students, and let's do some oboe playing.
All right, our first performer is Christina Tay.
My name is Christina Tay, and I'm going to be playing Haydn Concerto in C, Movement 2.
That's great. I can't see the player. It still has the Primavera Fund still on the screen. Is there a way that they can see the performer?
Oh, okay.
Christina, good stuff. Let's start.
Great job. Okay. Yes. First of all, great endurance, great gritting through it, great singing and opening up. This is quite a feat to get from the beginning to the end of this piece. So it is quite taxing, and you handled it quite well. I'm going to kind of pick a couple themes that I want to work on with you. One is making sure that you properly prepare your notes with the support. And can someone keep the time, like when I'm having like 5 minutes left or something, someone give me a 5-minute warning or something, because I tend to get lost when I'm giving out comments. One thing I want to talk about is how you prepare your notes. So when I'm hearing you start, I feel like there isn't much support coming from the bottom, right? So we want to ensure that we're really, really forming the tone from down low. And then you produce from here. The last place where the sound comes from, the last place that the air goes through is the embouchure. So the embouchure shapes the sound, it doesn't make the sound. So primarily your support and your tone production is supposed to come from the bottom, from your diaphragm. So let's take this from the top. I just want to hear just you play ba ba dee dee da da dee da 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 da. And this time make sure you breathe in, because the air that you take in is only as good as the air that you put out is only as good as the air that you take in. So you breathe in, support, then release the sound. Okay? Let's start from the top, just you by yourself. Okay. Just right from there, I can see that you're kind of jumping ahead. So if I'm starting this, let me make sure my read is working. So I'm thinking I'm starting and I'm breathing and I'm properly taking in my air. Then I say I'm breathing and I'm thinking the time before I start. You get what I'm saying? I'm not just, it's ready, set, go, right? Not ready, go. So let's try again from the top. Think about how you breathe in and then release the sound. But I really want you to go party, party, yada. And we're playing, and while you're playing, I want you to think about the air moving forward. That's what the support is. So this time I want you to, you breathe in, but then I want you to think about the air moving forward as you support it, okay? Just play like the first da dee da 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 ba dee dee da 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 dee da. Play up to the F's. good. So whenever you're playing, I always want you to think about the preparation to the sound every single time. I know the middle C isn't the prettiest note to start on, right? It's the note that every oboe player hates, right? The middle D feels better. The C sounds kind of thin, not as rich of a sound as the others. But it doesn't mean that it isn't absent of support, right? So So you see how I'm really connecting the sound? I know that you can, and now I just want to use a little bit more air. Then we'll play a little bit with the piano, but when you by yourself one time from the top, give me a little bit more volume of air. This is your concerto. This is your moment. It's good. But I really want to encourage you to use more volume of air and more support. I still feel like it's kind of biting here and not really letting the reed vibrate. You could trust your air more than biting. I want you to trust your air more. A lot of times we think this is a means of control. The means of control is the air. The embouchure shapes the air. I want you to really think about that. The embouchure shaping it, the air makes the sound. Otherwise, it'd be called a face instrument, not a wind instrument. Right? So we play wind instruments, which means the primary thing that causes sound is what? Wind. Which means you should support and also trust your wind. So if I'm going... I'm thinking about my wind the whole time. The entire time I'm thinking about my wind. Let's take it from pick up into measure 5. And this time, more support. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm really trying to make a point here. More support, more volume of air. Allow the reed to vibrate more. Try it again.
Okay.
More. Keep going. Go. Good. So that's a lot better. Your notes are connecting better too. What did you do differently?
I loosened my mouth.
Anything else?
I pushed more air.
Good. The oboe, you really have everything with the oboe has to be intentional. Because the oboe is a very oppositional instrument. It wants to shut down when you bite it. It wants to go nuts if you let it go too much, right? So somewhere in between, you have to make it work. So I really want you to think of two things. The reason why I ask you questions as well, because I want you to be a thinking musician as you're growing as a player. So I want you to remember what that felt like in your head, and I want you to be aware of your body and how it feels to produce sound that has more body to it. So I want you to be physically and mentally, right? So those are the two things that you have to connect when you're playing. A lot of times you remember what a teacher told you, but you have to remember when the teacher told you to do something and you switched it, remember how that felt. Orally here, wind and support, really making a physical memory as well when you're playing. Okay? Let's go from A. How much time do I have? I just want to make sure I'm on track with time. Is there a timekeeper?
15 minutes. 15 more minutes.
Great, awesome. Let's start from A. One thing I knew this was going to happen a little bit. You said this is great. Your sound has more presence, maybe a little less nervous as well. You know, you've kind of gotten all that energy out from being the first person up. I know it's always hard to be the first person to go up. So congratulations for that. Now that you're using more support in air, your notes are connecting better, your sound sounds more present. Now you can take risk with dynamics. So when it says pianissimo, I want you to really be quiet there. But I want it to be a big pianissimo, not a pianissimo. Which, if you sound like this, it sounds like you're struggling. But if you sound like this, you can still tell I'm whispering. But it's present, right? Let's start from A one more time. That's very, very good. And when you're playing that softly, and you're daring to play that soft, you need more support to support it. Because it takes more to whisper loudly than to just talk in the regular voice. Okay? Start from A. Great job. Let's keep going. Here. Right at the E? Sorry. When there are more notes, what should you do? When the red lights are flashing and you see the 16th note passes, what should you do?
Play it slower.
Slower, and also use more air to blow through the notes. As soon as you shut off the air, there's some sort of mechanism that happens with all wind players, right? When we see a fast passage, we shut the air off. So the theme today is what? Supporting more. So I'm going to play it. So if we're going... So when I'm coming to that passage, I want to use more air to propel it, right? I'm going to really go through it. It needs more momentum. It's like when an ice skater, have you ever watched figure skating?
To do competitive ice skating.
Oh, hey, awesome. Perfect person. You need more speed, right? You're turning to it. So this is a great thing that you can use the art form that you used before and think of it also in musical terms. The same time I'm talking about the speed, turning out of something, right? Use that same concept and apply it to your air, right? So let's try again from that low E again at measure 29. And when you're going through that turn, more speed. From the low E. So let's try that one more time. Let's start from 31. Ba da da da. Just speed of air, not finger speed. Keep that same tempo that you were using. Ba ya da da. You can take your time. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da yum ba. You can still take the time that you need. I just need more speed in the air to get between the notes. So think of the notes this way. Say for instance, if you have like a beaded wristband, right? You ever had those wristbands that have beads on it? Okay, so I think of the air as the string going in between the beads, and the notes are the beads. But if I clip that string, what happens to the beads? They fall, right? So it's that same thing. You're putting the wind, the notes on the wind. You put the beads on the string that holds it all together. Okay? Learn from the low E one more time. Then. One more from the low E. Sorry. Good. Very good. Very good. You always want to approach it courageously, right? Anytime there's something difficult that comes up, I would say be the thing that you fear. Don't back down from it. So embody the difficulty of that. Go towards it. Practice it slowly, right? That you're able to work it out and it's not problematic. But at the same time, you want to approach it courageously, not cautiously. You want to be concerned about having it rhythmically anchored, right? Because we're servants to time, rhythm. But at the same time, you want to approach it in a more courageous manner. That was very, very good. Let's start from the high A. Bum, ba, ya, da, 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 da. Can you start there for me? Someone who did competitive skating, is the turn the same speed the whole time? When you're skating and you come and you pose, is it the same speed the whole time?
No.
Exactly. So really think about that. You go into the turn, it winds up, it speeds up, right? And then you come gracefully out of the turn. So really think about that trill that way. Do that. Do just the trill for me. Come out of the trill. Remember, you got to keep the momentum going, and that's the air. Keep it on the wind. Better. So that's something to work on, right? So you have to make sure that you plant the notes just perfectly and time it just perfectly enough that you're able to turn and come right out and land on your pose, right? We have about 3 minutes left. Let's keep going from B. Play a little bit more. You know what? You know what I also recognize is going on? Your pitch is more centered as well. So by me asking you to support and let it vibrate some and trusting your air more than just your face, right? Your face is what you see. The wind you can't see. But for some reason, you have to trust the wind more than you trust your face, right? You're still shaping here. I'm not saying completely get off the reed and just like yawn on the reed. You know, there is an embouchure that's formed. But at the same time, you're trusting your air now, whereas so the whole time I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking about how to play shapes and things, right? So you actually have more freedom. And I'm not saying just pressure at the reed. I'm talking about just really opening up and allowing yourself to trust your air and your support. So just before we wrap up, 2 things. Really, the air that comes in, I want you to still get used to breathing in properly in a deep place, supporting it, then releasing the sound. But when you release the sound, you commit to the sound by making sure that the notes are on the wind. Like I talked about that string through the beads. You keep the string through the beads. You don't clip it at a certain point, all the beads fall. All right? So you adjust it very, very quickly, and that's very good. And remember, the things that you did in ice skating, think of some of those things that you did in competitive skating and how it applies to music, even the physical production of doing it. So, because my teacher, Elaine DeVos, she also did ice skating competitively. So she did a lot of analogies. And I grew up watching lots of, I'm 6'2", so I couldn't get on the ice skating rink, but I loved watching it with my dad because that's what I wanted to do before I did oboe. Actually, it's a little, secret of mine that air out in public, but I love figure skating. So I always use that as an analogy. So great job. Beautiful job and great adjustment. So awesome job.
All right, great playing. That was wonderful. All right, our next performer is Audrey Lay.
Hi, I'm Audrey Lay. I'm 15. I'm also going to be playing Concerto in C by Haydn, but I'm going to be playing the first movement.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you. Is it paused up there? Great job. Great job. Yeah, I know it goes back to the recap there. First of all, great preparation and great getting, solving out all those technical passages, and being expressive. One thing I want to take the expression a little bit further. We can go kind of on a theme here with also which support is one. Good. But before you go down, you don't have to go. Just use the move the fingers in that spot. So even though it's in piano, you're still. But if I'm talking like this, I'm talking quiet, y'all may lose your attention. Pam pam da pam pam. But don't elongate that last. Pam 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 pam. Good. Let's keep going with the piano tempo. I know that you have more expression than that because you did that when I asked you to open some. This is really showy music, It's simple, but it's simple enough for you to be able to open up. So really sell it. A little bit more. You don't have to play as fast as I did, but I want you to really go for the dynamics. Really shape it. A little bit more wind, a little more conviction behind the sound. When you're playing, I'm not sitting here just critiquing you. I'm sitting here listening as well. So I always tell players, never let a listener crowd your stage. Don't let me on the stage when you're playing. I can be on the stage when it's time for me to talk, but it's your stage when you're delivering the sound. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start. Ba-ya-da-dee. Keep going. Stop within the classical style. So I don't want you to elongate the last note of those staccatos. Bum 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 bum. Is that bum bum ba bum bum ba dum dum bum 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 na dim bum bum ba be. So you're elongating that because it seems like that's how it should be, but those should be equal shapes. Ding bum 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 be. Okay? Just play that once for me, the last part. The G, E, D, C sharp, D. Just play that for me, the last 5 notes. You kind of split the difference there. still have direction to it, right? You want to go, ha, ha, ha. You want to go. It still has shape. Well, how I think of it, it's like the circle gets bigger, the globes get bigger, like those planets you see, and then they're next to each other. So one gets bigger, then it gets smaller. Bum, 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 bum. So there's still shapes to it. It just gets bigger. And as the shapes get louder or softer, it shows the direction that the music is going in. So let's try it again. Dum, bum, 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 bum. Good. All right. Let's keep going with the piano. Bum, 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 bum. Over and out. Don't stop your air because you're about to go down the scale. Over and out. Don't pump the brakes right before you're about to. It's like you go up the roller coaster. Have you ever ridden on a roller coaster? The worst part is when you're at the very top and then they just stop and then they let you off. So in music, we don't stop at the top. We keep going, we build that momentum, and we go straight down. But it's over, out, and then down. So you're never pumping the brakes right at the top, right? You have to keep that momentum going. Let's try it again. Bum bum ba ba da bum ba ya da 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 dee ya da 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 da. Very good. Same thing up here at the D, C sharp. I know it's awkward, right? So the same thing, that speeding up the trill, then turning out of it, right? So let's go from there. Dynamic there. Why are you playing it soft? Because you're scared of it, right? A little bit afraid of it. The thing that you fear, blow into it. Trust your air. Okay? Same place. Make sure you end that in time. We're servants to time. Time anchors us. There's nothing we can do to stop getting older, unfortunately. But we're servants to time. Bum 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 ba dee Let's start just from there. Bum 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 ba dee just from there with the piano. Time. That wasn't quite, you kind of made up for it, but I want it to be right in time. I want you to really, really think about your rhythm. It's so important. It's the anchor, it is the structure of music. Start again, same place. Okay, good. Now let's go to the next section. Keep going. Keep going. Very good, very good. Good working out all those technical passages as well. The one thing I want you to think about is when you're working out the technical passages, what are the parts you should work on the most?
The parts that I have difficulty with.
Yes. And how should you practice them?
With the metronome and like slowly at first, building up.
Yes. Slowly and with a metronome. And I want to give you a little bit of letting you in on the secret how I practice with my metronome. So I don't practice with my metronome with just the on beats. That's one way, right? So that's called like practicing. You're trying to keep it even, but you're practicing to get it up to tempo. I'm sure you heard it a lot. I need to work it up to tempo. But to establish a really true pulse, you want to practice with your metronome as a tool that establishes rhythm and pulse. I usually practice a lot of things with my offbeats. Helps me learn practice a lot easier. The reason why I do that, same through the Mozart oboe concerto. Bum bum ba di di da 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 di ba da di da da dum bum ba ya da dum da ba da 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 di ba da 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 da. The reason why I do that is so that I really anchor myself in the pulse. It makes me accountable for the downbeats, the 1 and the 3, and it also establishes a stronger pulse within my playing. So when you come up to these difficult spots, it's a little bit more in slow motion because your pulse is a little bit more anchored. Because you have this sequence that's and at some point you got to get out of the sequence, else you're just stuck in a forever loop. But make sure you really hone in on those spots that I, as the listener and as an oboe player, may be expecting you to miss that spot, right? So make sure you always go over those spots because it's usually not the whole passage. It's usually a small amount of passage. And don't just run it over and over and over again when you're doing it. I can tell that you practice smartly, but just to add a little bit more to your practice, make sure that you practice it slowly with the metronome in different ways. And when you're done practicing with the metronome, practicing it slowly, put the oboe away. Do not attempt to practice it up to tempo right before you put it away to prove to yourself that maybe I can do it up to tempo now. It kind of ruins your practice. So get used to really being patient within your practice. Let's start from, we have about 5 more minutes left. Let's start from 203, right on, bum, bum, ba-da-dee, that same passage, right before that 6-note passage. So accent in E. Let's keep going. Let's go. Do you have your cadenza worked out?
Which part?
Cadenza at the end, 213. Sorry, 316. Or right before that. 316. Do you have that worked out yet?
I don't have measure numbers, but there's not really much after what I just played. Like there's a whole bunch of rest.
Oh. Well, you don't have measure. Do you have letter numbers? K? Do you know after K?
Oh, I haven't really done that, no.
Okay. Well, let's not work that. I was like, I wanted to give you a chance to be able to play your cadenza if you had it worked out, because I know people work on their cadenza and they didn't get to play it. But if you have not worked on your cadenza, let's not do the cadenza. All right, let's keep going right from the recap. This is at measure This is after H. Bum, ba-da-da-da-da, when the theme comes back. I want to work on that. Can we have a little intro from the piano? Can you do it one more time? Breathe in time. Make sure you breathe. Bum, bum, bum. Breathe. Oh. Okay, one more time. Just do. We broke a rule just now.
I think I lengthened the last.
Yeah, you did. You sure did. Let's start from bum 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 yeah bum 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 yeah bum bing bum 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 be. And when you sing, do you sing your part at all ever?
No.
You used to sing in your part. Started when you're young. Why would you sing your part? Why did you think I would ask you to sing your part?
Because then you can get a feel for like phrasing and also just how it should sound, I guess.
Exactly. So this is the voice you're given. This is the voice you chose. So what's happening is I'm trying to bridge that gap between the voice I chose and the voice I'm given to have a natural form of expression. So that's what you're going for. That's why singing your part is so crucial. So with this last couple minutes, let's try that one more time. Great job. First of all, great adjusting. You can really open up with expression. You're forming a nice tone there. So things are really coming together. But I really want you to be thinking about how you support it, how your range of expression would be, and think about your air. Like I was saying with the previous person, think about your air. And think about slow practice as well. About having that timing just right, okay? So great job. Beautiful job. Beautiful, beautiful job. Of course.
Okay, great. Well, our next performer is Sebastian Gonzalez, and he is playing Telemann. Is that correct? Yes. Fantasy. It's unaccompanied, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful pianist, Anna Kizlitsina. Thank you so much. All right, Sebastian, you ready?
My name is Sebastian Gonzalez, and I will be playing Telemann's Second Fantasy in A minor.
Okay. Great job. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful job. I mean, these are quite tough so this is courageous of you to go up there and play a Telemon Fantasy. So beautiful job, beautiful job. I mean, very nicely prepared, very nicely done, and lots of beautiful phrasing and pacing and all that stuff. So I know these are just hard to even pace to get through. So great job with that. I think you can take more liberty to be more expressive and be more within the sound. You have a nice sound, so I want you to take advantage of that. Even from the beginning, pa 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 ti, da da da. I mean, you can really think of this as more singing. This passage here. You know, really think about how you pace this. This is just more of an introduction instead of. And so forth. Let's start at beginning. A little more expansive, a little more introduction rather than this is the tempo. This is good. So even with the right? Really dramatic with this. I mean, he's written it in such a way that it can be dramatic. You know, start from the low D, measure 6. From there for me. Okay, so come out of that with that resolution. But that's not loud. That's softer because the resolution. Start from there. Ba di ya ya da ho di pa pa da dum pa pa. Good. And that E be the softest, even though it's the hardest note to attack. Ba da di pa pa. Same thing. One more time. So. Try it. Make sure the E comes down softly. Same place. Good. Now let's go on to the vivace. I'm gonna do something, talk about something musically. So, what does a projector mean? Do you know?
Yeah, it's like a held tension, usually like a half step, like that's like out of the key.
So, what happens after the projector usually?
Resolution.
Which one's louder?
The projector.
Exactly. So, if you're going. That sounds backwards, right? So. So you want to make sure that you're doing proper pairs. Bam 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 bam. But I'm hearing it backwards because there are oboisms that happen, right? The oboe wants to play the middle D louder than E because it's a louder note, right? It feels better to just kind of blow into it, right? But you got to resist that urge in order to bring the music out. So these are also flute pieces, which makes it a little bit more awkward on the oboe, but it fits well. So let's try again. Ba-da-dum, ba-dum. You don't have to play at my tempo, but slightly lean on the projector and release.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
So now even that's a resolution. That E is a resolution. Right. I mean, if it's the end of the piece, fine. It's not the end yet, so you can't keep smashing the resolutions like that. So, bro. And so forth. So I'm still thinking about it musically. Yes, it's technical. Yes, it's impressive that you're getting through it technical. But remember, the musical concept comes first. The technique must meet the musical concept. It's not the other way around. The technique doesn't establish the musical concept. The musical concept must rise to the musical concept. The technical execution must rise to the musical concept. So never compromise your music because there's some technical thing you need to get through. Sometimes that's the case, but most times it should not be the case. You should always aspire to make sure you're crafting it musically, thinking musically, musical solutions for technical issues. All right, let's start. Let's start from the top of this, from the vivace one more time. We'll go through it. Now I'll stop as we go along. I think you can make these a little bit more longer singing. They don't have to be a bum bum. They can be a little more singing. You know? That's a. little bit more singing. And so forth. Let's start from this. That's when you can really go for the resolution, right? So let's start from the same place, but don't give away the piano so early. You already started. This is forte the whole time. Don't give it away to me. Don't give away the secret. The secret is the piano. So keep it forte the whole time. Start from. Oh. Okay. I was like, is that? I think that's the first dog I've heard in a masterclass. It's the first time everything. I was like, what is this? You know?
Funny, he's all running around over here.
Yeah. Okay, let's start from the same place. I guess the dog liked the idea. 44 from 44. Let's work that those last two minutes. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, really sing. Last say vibrato. Good. You don't have to hold it as long, but make sure it's vibrant. Let's go into the adagio. Okay, so this has to be more. This has to be different than the other ones. So you have to think in colors as well. Do you sing your part? So if we were to sing it, you want to go ba 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 bee ba 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 bee ba ba. I mean, I'm exaggerating, right? But dee da 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 dee ba ba dee da 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 dee ba ba. These are solo pieces, which means you have a little more flexibility. It's still within a rhythmic structure, but it's not so rigid, right? So I'm thinking about this, like really thinking about it. Make it a little bit more personal. This is your time where you fireworks. Wow, yeah. Then You want to show that you have many cards, not just one. That's what shows an artist, that you can't be pinned down on anything. People are like, wow, 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 wow. Different angles. Let's start on Adagio one more time. None of this should feel rushed in out of the turns. That was beautiful. A lot more people. What did you do differently? Your tone sounds more settled. It sounded a little bit more, a lot more musical, a lot more you were thinking, and it kept me a little bit on the edge of my seat. What did you do differently that time?
I was less nervous, but also I guess I just kind of thought more about how I would have sung it.
Yes. Connect the voice to the voice. Connect the voice to the voice. So even when you're coming out of these, I don't want anything to be rushed. And make sure that when you have those eighth notes, that you that you really hold those a little bit longer. He has that 16th note rest to show that it wants to go a little bit further, but then it comes off of an offbeat, right? Nah. It's hold a little bit longer. Now. Let them softly off the ride. Not get off the ride. The ain't going your way. You know, don't rush it. Start from 7. From there. I want you to sing on those flats. Sing on those E flats. It's a blue note. It's a blue note. Start same place that you started before. Let turn a little bit better. Take your time. Full finger. I hear the trill finger in there. But take time. Really take your time. You have time. No rush. Good. And support through the C. So whenever someone ends a note like that or ends a phrase or ends a piece like that, I say it's like eating a bag of chips with a burnt chip at the bottom of the bag. And that's the last chip you eat is this burnt, nasty chip. And there are no more chips in the house. And you can't wash the taste out of your mouth, but you really enjoyed that bag of chips. We're like, but that last chip just ruined that whole bag. Don't ruin the whole bag with one burnt chip. Really support all the way through to the end. And like, yes, I'm glad I ate that. All right. Same thing. R-P-I-R-T and upward inflected, support it through the rest.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. Yes. You know how violinists still vibrate after the note is over? That's what we're doing. We're through the sound. We're supporting, and then we release it. You're not never that. Then you release. All right? Let's go into the allegro. Let's finish up with the allegro. I still think you can sing more when you're playing this. More, you can really be more imaginative with this, because if you're going, that's not as interesting, right? So just play with my time, play with my imagination a little bit more with the music. That's one thing. So since we only have one minute left, I want to give just some closing comments. You have great potential in your playing. It sounds great. Sound is great. You're preparing difficult pieces. It's hard to play one of these Sterling Masterclass, especially at your age, playing it so young. So congratulations to doing that. I want you to take advantage of the tools you already have, right? I want you to expand on those tools. So the first thing I want you to think about is what musically you want it to sound like. Record yourself. You'll hear the things that I'm hearing. And then demand more of yourself. But when you record yourself, I want you to proof listen to it. Like you proofread a paper. You don't criticize yourself. Like in a way, I sound so bad. Why is that out of tune? You listen to the sound and you sculpt it and say, I want it to sound like this. But when you're listening to yourself, you believe already that you can make the adjustments that you demand of the music. You have to start with the belief that I can make these changes, and I'm just being critical of what it sounds like at this present moment. But I have the ability to take it to a higher musical level and also technically execute what I'm imagining. So open up your imagination and freedom as far that you play. But the best tools you're going to be able to do that is if you're very, very objective about recording yourself and listening and sculpting what you already have. Because I don't think you're taking full advantage of the tools you have in your hands already. I want you to go further with those. Like when you played the Adagio and I was like, oh, that's a lot more beautiful. You felt a little more comfortable. I want you to remember that, like I said the first, remember in your hair, remember how it felt to play that way. A physical memory of how that feels to play that, all right? So great job. Beautiful job. Beautiful, beautiful job.
Okay, thank you so much, Titus. This was such a wonderful evening. All of our performers just played beautifully, and thank you all for participating. We also want to thank the Philadelphia Musical Alliance for Youth. We are able to put on this series because of our partnership with them, and also the Philadelphia Youth Orchestra Music Institute for allowing us their space this evening at St. Patrick Hall. Actually, all of our performers this evening are in one of the ensembles at Philadelphia Youth Orchestra Music Institute, so they were well represented this evening. So thank you all for watching. We will be back next month with cellist Christine Lamprey. And thank you again, Titus. This was just wonderful, and we hope next time you can come to Philadelphia and we can see you in person.
Absolutely. I love Philadelphia. I come there all the time. So thank you so much for having me, and beautiful players. Good luck to you all. Keep practice, and keep pursuing what you're doing. All sound beautiful.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.